Ladies and gentlemen, and online viewers from around the world, thank you very much for joining us today. The Asian Network of Industrial Heritage ANIH, established in 2018, is celebrating its 3rd-year anniversary this year. And to commemorate this momentous occasion, while promoting international exchange, we're hosting the International Correspondents Meeting and 3rd Anniversary Celebration today. 各位长官、贵宾，亚洲产业文化资产资讯平台 ANIH 自2018年成立至今，致力推动工业遗产的研究、保存以及国际合作。为了庆祝 ANIH 成立3周年，并且加强与国际专家学者的交流以及对话，我们于今日举办国际通讯员以及3周年的庆祝活动。邀请各国的通讯员以平台的未来的发展以及增强国际的合作以及对话为主题，进行深度的交流。And ladies and gentlemen, ANIH currently works with 12 international correspondents across the Asia-Pacific region. 2 of them are joining us today. They're from Taiwan, and 9 of them will be joining us today, the correspondents meeting today via video conferencing. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce the VIPs that are gracing us with their presence today. 首先为您介绍莅临现场的贵宾。首先 let me introduce Alex Yang, International Exchange Section Chief, Bureau of Cultural Heritage, Ministry of Culture. 我们请科长向镜头挥手致意。我们欢迎的是文资局综合规划组国际交流科科长杨宏祥杨科长。欢迎科长。Next, I would like to introduce the moderator of today's panel discussion. 接下来我们要为您介绍的是今日综合座谈的主持人 Dr. Hsiao-wei Lin, Chair of ANIH Advisory Committee. Dr. Lin is an Associate Professor at the Department of Architecture, Shuenn-Ren Christian University, Taiwan. She's also a board member of TIKI. 那我们接下来要为您介绍的是2位代表我们台湾也是同样的莅临现场的贵宾。Next, let me introduce 2 scholars from Taiwan who are joining today's discussion in person. Dr. Shuenn-Ren Liou, Vice Chair of ANIH Advisory Committee. He's a professor at the Department of Architecture, National Chen Kung University, Taiwan. Next, let us welcome Ms. Yu Huang, Research Fellow, Cultural Property Preservation Center, Shuenn-Ren Christian University, Taiwan. Ms. Huang is going to join today's panel discussion as a correspondent based in Taiwan. 最后为您介绍以视讯方式参与本次会议的国际的通讯员。Last but not least, I would like to introduce and welcome all our international correspondents who are joining us today via video conferencing. So dear correspondents, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. We would like to introduce you one by one. So when you hear your name being announced, please wave at the camera and identify yourself. First, we would like to welcome Dr. Qi-Wen Lan, Assistant Professor, Department of Landscape Architecture, Fujian Catholic University, Taiwan. 欢迎蓝教授，请您跟镜头挥挥手。好 ，Next we would like to welcome Dr. Julia Gatley, Associate Professor, Department of Creative Arts and Industries, University of Auckland, New Zealand. Welcome, Professor Gatley. Next, we would like to welcome Dr. Phan Thuy Loan, Deputy Director, National Institute of Architecture, Vietnam. Welcome. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. Next, we would like to welcome Ivan Anthony Hernandez, PhD candidate, Hospitality and Tourism Management at Purdue University. Ivan is also an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines and the Secretary General of the ICOMOS International Cultural Tourism Committee. Thank you very much for joining us today. Next, let's welcome Rajendra Kumar. He is the Director, School of Architecture, Noida International University, Greater Noida, India. Welcome. Next, please welcome Abantika Mukherjee, Conservation Architect, Dharohar, New Delhi, India. Welcome. Lee Yoki Lai, Senior Lecturer, Department of Landscape Architecture, University of Technology, Malaysia. Thank you very much for joining us today. Last but not least, we would like to introduce Hsiao-wei Lin from the Interdisciplinary Program in Landscape Architecture, Seoul National University, Korea. She will participate in the form of pre-recorded videos. So ladies and gentlemen, to kick off today's program, I would like to invite the host of today's meeting, Alex Yang, Section Chief, Bureau of Cultural Heritage, to deliver his welcoming remarks. So without further ado, let us put our hands together and give a very warm welcome to Alex Yang. 我们欢迎文资局的杨科长为我们说几句话。
谢谢。Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I representative as the Bureau of Cultural Heritage, Minister of Culture in Taiwan. And I want to thank you to our honorable guests, Professor Lin, our chair in the ANIH Advisory, and the Vice Chair, Professor Liu, welcome you, and Dr. Huang, our correspondents here in our site, and all our ANIH international correspondents and our friends online. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Bureau of Cultural Heritage in Taiwan, I am much delighted to welcome you to the ANIH International Correspondents Meeting and the third anniversary celebrations. The Asian Network of Industrial Heritage, we short call ANIH. ANIH has been inaugurated in 2018 as the platform to promote the collaboration and cooperation of industrial heritages, inclusive the outstanding experts and organizations throughout Asia Pacific. ANIH is located in our Cultural Heritage Park in Taiwan. This park used to be a brewery factory since the Japanese colonized period. Until now, it's almost over 100 years old. So in this site, we do much more conservation for the old brewery buildings, warehouses, transform into the cultural heritage to be a platform for everyone in Taiwan or through the nations. For the past 3 years, ANIH has to thank to the supporters and contribution from the participants in industrial, universities, and the governments. In the future, we hope to provide more communications opportunities for young talents and the partners organizations. Also, we would like to keep enhance our research capability dedicated to the preservation and renovations. Today, Professor Liu and the 9 ANIH international correspondents online, these partners from the 6 countries, they will join us in these activities with our chair, Professor Lin, as the moderator to discuss the information of industrial heritage. The relevant organizations in Asian Pacific and the way of strengthening the collaboration between ANIH and the international correspondents in the future. At the moment, we celebrate the ANIH third advisories. Maybe this is the 3 years old birthday party here. So, ANIH has to have more active role in the international industrial heritage and sphere and offer the cooperations opportunity to more organizations and experts. So here I want to thank you again for participant of our guests and wish you a very good meeting here and a good day. Also, everybody try to be healthy and thank you here. Okay.
谢谢科长. Thank you, Mr. Alex Yang, for your warm remarks. And now we would like to invite Alex to please present certificates of appointment to Ms. Huang Yuyu, who will represent all the international correspondents in terms of accepting the certificates of appointment. 我们现在要邀请我们的科长呢，到我们的台前来，为我们颁发国际通讯员的委任书。我们也请黄老师起立，能够向前。我们请林老师，还有我们的 我们的刘老师呢，先于舞台的两侧，我们在舞台的两侧先等待一下。那我们现在有请科长为我们颁发国际通讯员委任书，给代表台湾的通讯员黄玉瑜老师。好，请您望向前方的镜头，谢谢。那我们接下来也请林老师还有刘老师一起到台前合影留念。For those ANIH correspondents who are not able to join this meeting in person, you will receive a hard copy of the certificate by mail. 谢谢。那我们请台前的4位长官、贵宾、老师们，请您先行回座。接下来我们要进行的是我们的大合影留念。那我们今天的会议是采用虚实整合的方式，我们要进行的是呢，跟我们线上的国际贵宾一起进行截图合影留念。Now we would like to take a virtual group photo. We would like to ask all the ANIH correspondents as well as our VIPs on site to please look into your camera. Please look into your webcam. And ready, set, smile. Okay, now we're going to take another group photo since we have gathered here today to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of ANIH. So we would like to ask you to please put up 3 of your fingers to signify the number 3 to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of ANIH. So please hold up your fingers, the hand gesture for the number 3, and ready, set, look in your camera, smile. Thank you, and that concludes the photo shooting session. Thank you very much for joining the group photo shooting. And the next item on the agenda will be the panel discussion. Dr. Hsiao-wei Lin, Chair of the ANIH Advisory Committee, will be the moderator of the discussion. She will invite each and every ANIH correspondent to take turns commenting on the predetermined topics. And toward the end of each session, Dr. Lin, the moderator, will summarize the key points of the discussion, which I will translate very briefly into Chinese for the Chinese audience that are joining us online or on site to be able to keep up with today's discussion. So without further ado, I would like to turn the program over to Dr. Lin.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It has been a pleasure to be here, and I welcome all of you to attend our today's celebration meeting. It has been 3 years, and with a lot of people's effort and hard work to establish ANIH network. So today, due to the spatial global condition, then we meet in this website in the spatial virtual way. But we really hope in the near future we can have people in present. Yeah. And so ANIH's network, which is not only want to build up the network for the database to share information, but we also want to build this network for professionals. That's why we have today's meeting. So later for the procedure, I think first of all, I will introduce myself a little bit and what we have done in ANIH for these 3 years. Then we will have our international correspondent one by one to give introduce yourself. And the second issue, then we are going to talk about how to strengthen of our further cooperation for the future work. Okay, so can you put the PowerPoint on? Okay, so on the screen you can see my background. So currently I work in the Department of Architecture. And my research interest is focused on the reuse of a cultural heritage, industrial cultural landscape, and landscape planning. Okay, next one. Next one, please. And my recently work is about establish the, hold on a second, it's come. We are currently building the industrial cultural roots of Taiwan. Yeah. Excuse me. You need to go to the next slide. Yeah. Okay, we have a little bit technical difficulty. All right, yeah, this one. Okay. So this is one of our recent work about potential Taiwan's root of industrial heritage. So basically, we do the survey and try to organize some Taiwan's route of industrial heritage as a kind of cultural policy to promote industrial heritage. We have currently have 5 routes already. I'm not going to the detail, but just to let you know, this is what we are doing to do the whole scale of Taiwan's industrial heritage survey. So for the next, please. Okay, and these are the 3 objects of ANI's network of industrial heritage. I think all of you are very familiar with that already. So the first, we want to promote the industrial heritage in the Asia region. The second one, we are going to build the website. And the third one, to conduct the network of industrial heritage in the Asia region and also the related cooperation. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so this is the achievements what we have done so far. So right now we already have 11 countries in Asia which are involved with our collaboration. And we have an official website and publications. And I also would like to thank you for all the international correspondents' contribution. And we also eager for your continued contribution for that. So we have a regular publication, and also we are collecting the case study for the well-used industrial heritage site. And we also have a regular round operational structure. So as you can see, we have a group of academic committee, which Professor Liu is also our vice chair. And we also have international secretaries to help with our administration work. And we have this professional international correspondent to provide us some updated news in each of country. And we have the office, which is fully staffed in Taichung. Our setting today here is our office. And the last one is about the partner organization. So we are also eager for the collaboration with different partner organizations, as what I show is our heritage, which we just make the MOU last year. And this is also what we are going to discuss further later, because on our issues which we mentioned, you can introduce some of this conservation organization which we can work together. So we are also looking forward to have a more partner. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so this one is our future cooperation work for the next, I think for our next task. So we will strengthen some disciplines and the research on the from different places. So in the future, we are going to run these regular meetings as what we have done today. And we also hope have some recruitment for the international correspondent. And also we would like to have your publication and some case study, which you can enhance our database of website and to share the information. And the fourth one is currently our advice committee also established some working group. And this one is also what we are going to work on further in the future. So perhaps in the future we can have this working group which can build up the research project which can work together with our international correspondent together. Okay, next one. All right, so I think that's my brief introduction about ANI's work in the past 3 years and what we have done so far. And for the next, I'm going to come to our discussion point. The first, I would like to invite you to introduce yourself and your organization and some recent activity involved with industrial heritage. And the second one is about a suggestion to strengthen the cooperation and connection resource with ANI Yeah, I know many of you already prepared some slides, and thank you very much for your effort, which you've done for us. So now I would like to invite Shuenn-Ren Liou from Taiwan, please.
Hello, everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I will share my slide now. Okay, so is it okay that can you see my slide? Is that okay to see my slide?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So hello everybody. I am Shuenn-Ren Liou from Taiwan, and now I am assistant professor from Fu-Ren Catholic University, Department of Landscape Architecture. So I'm architect, and I study also architectural history. And before China, I have studied in Germany for heritage conservation. So those photos are my about the background about myself. The upper right upper is the city that I studied for almost over 10 years in Bamberg in Germany. This is a World Heritage City. And in the middle, upper middle, is my experience that I have international project for in Guatemala, the capital city of the Antigua, and the photo shows that I was on the roof of the Sor Juana Convento. And the other is the left upper photo shows the most important part for me, because I was on the top of the St. Mark's Basilica in Venice. So I guess maybe I am the first Asian woman on the top of the St. Mark's Basilica. Okay, and the other are some photos that I make introduction, also some lectures in Brazil, because I have ever been in Brazil for a short time as a part-time assistant, and making some research about the architecture and preservation work in Brazil. And also the other is the other part that my lecture in the different cities with the different languages. Okay, and the second, now there are my publications. The left one is about a temple in Jiayi, and that is my master thesis, and I written in German. And it was published. Published in German language, and this is a short introduction. Also, the Taiwanese architectural history. And the right one, my publication is my doctorate dissertation, and that is topic is about the comparison between the heritage conservation thinking between Taiwan and Germany. And I am now a correspondent of any correspondent of for Germany. So that is the photos that should show that my internship in 2006 in North Rhine-Westphalia. This is like a province. The capital city is Düsseldorf, and also the famous cities in Köln. And now the area is the rural area. I say in German is Ruhrgebiet. They are developing the industrial route, and I was lucky to participate in the early stage. The photo, this one is the industrial museum. The building was built by the famous German architect Peter Behrens. He is also representative of the German modern architectural movement. And the other is the The other photo is showing that is in Essen, and it was under construction in 2006. They were building the industrial museum in Essen, and that is a situation. It was chaos, but now it's well constructed and has many visitors. Now my research resource is about this magazine from Germany. The name is Industry Culture, and that is an important resource if I make the industrial research and the trend about the industrial heritage conservation. Okay, that is my part, and thank you for your attention.
Okay. Thank you very much for Zhiwen's presentation. I think we really envy you for your cross-continent experience. You have been traveled to so many places with some practical work. I think you also mentioned about one very important, about a comparison study. And because Zhiwen will leave this charting room soon because she has class, so just let you know if you need to go, just be free. Okay, so next one, let's come to Professor Julia Gatley, please. Kinson.
Okay.
Okay. Kinson.
I just can't see my slides to bring them up. Is anybody able to talk me through what I'm supposed to do to bring them up? Here we go. I think you can see the slides now.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm an architectural historian working in the School of Architecture and Planning at the University of Auckland in New Zealand, and I teach and research in the fields of architectural history and heritage conservation. Most of my own research is on 20th century New Zealand architecture and heritage, particularly modernism and modern heritage. So New Zealand has two main books that can be described as surveys of industrial history and heritage. One was called New Zealand's Industrial Heritage, written by Geoffrey Thornton and published in 1982. A second book called Heritage of Industry, Discovering New Zealand's Industrial History, was written by Nigel Smith and published nearly 20 years later in 2001. And so both of these books focus predominantly on 19th century developments and the sites that remain of them. Many of them are archaeological sites. And so my own research in relation to industrial heritage differs from theirs in that it has focus on 20th century buildings. So that said, one of my favourite industrial sites in New Zealand is this one on the left, which is the Brunner Mines historic area near Greymouth on the west coast of New Zealand's South Island. So it has the remains of what was once New Zealand's largest coal mining area dating back to the 1860s, and it grew rapidly in the latter part of the 19th century and includes several former mine sites. But it ran into difficulty in the early 20th century and was eventually abandoned. So my own research is more in relation to modern buildings like the ones on the right-hand side of the screen. And so these and other modern industrial buildings are the subject of an article that I'm researching at the moment with a co-author, Luciana Motta, who works as a lecturer in Brazil, but she spent 3 years in New Zealand and did much of the research for this article. And so we've established that there was a lot of factory construction in the middle part of the 20th century, These buildings date from the 1930s, the 1940s, and the 1950s. In the post-World War II period, many of the buildings were designed by well-known architects and were published in the period architecture journals upon completion, but they've often not stood the test of time so well, having been either altered or demolished. And most of the buildings from this period, the industrial buildings, are not particularly well known. They don't look as glamorous today as they did back in the black and white photos of the 1950s and 60s. And so this, the fact that they're not well known today makes them valuable for a journal article. But in general, I would describe myself, I have an interest in industrial heritage, but I'm not an industrial specialist. So I work on a range of types rather than solely on industrial heritage. It's very nice to be meeting you all, and I think it's valuable to have meetings like the one today. I wanted to just alert you to the fact that I'm hosting a conference in New Zealand in 2022. We don't know yet exactly what time of year it's going to be, but it's the conference, a joint conference of the Society of Architectural Historians of Australia and New Zealand, known as SAHANS, and the Australasian Urban History Planning History Group. And so it'll be my pleasure to issue an invitation to you all through ANIH, and hopefully meet some of you in New Zealand in 2022. Thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you very much for Julia's presentation. And we also would like to thank you for introducing some reference book about 19th century's New Zealand's industrial heritage to us. And I think for the 20th century's modern architecture related to the industrial heritage, it will also become a kind of hot topic for the near future. And thank you for Julia. And Julia, because due to the time difference, Julia might left the chat room a little bit earlier later because it's already pretty late for her. So let's thank you for her first. Then now let's move on to Lorne Pham, please, on Vietnam.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right. And can you hear, can you see my slide? I already, okay, sorry, I forgot one task. I should put present now. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Is my slide on in your screen?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, yeah. Hello again. I am Phạm Thúy Loan, correspondent from Vietnam. It is my great honor to be a correspondent from my countries and a great pleasure to join the meeting today. And first of all, congratulations for 3 years of ANIH. First of all, I will give a short introduction about myself. My background was architecture. I studied architecture in Vietnam, but then I had a chance to study master and doctor in Japan, in the University of Tokyo, under the supervision of Professor Yukio Nishimura. He is one of the very famous conservationists around the world. And very interestingly, during the time I studied in Tokyo, I met Alice Ru Hoa Kiu. I think she's maybe very familiar with many of you from Taiwan. She's the director of Taiwan Association of Historic and Resource Management in Taiwan. And I think she's one of my important mentors and sort of inspiration in the field of heritage conservation, together with my professor. After graduating, after getting my PhD in University of Tokyo, I start my careers in the National University of Civil Engineering in the Faculty of Architecture and Planning. And I used to be the head of the Department of Planning University. But since 2014, I quit the university and working in my current office, the Vietnam Institute of Architecture, under the Ministry of Construction. And I think our major activity is conducting research about architectures and urbanism. We also conduct practical projects, advisory projects to local governments, and also any other related activity, architecture study and urbanism. Let's talk a little bit about the industrial heritage theme. I think the concept of industrial heritage came to me after several chances I visit Taiwan, actually under the guidance of Mrs. Alice Q and her staff. I was visiting several well-known case studies, very famous and very, I think, popular industrial heritage conservation project converted into creative park, Songsan and Hwasan Park. I think it was very interesting and give me a lot of impression. And I think at that moment, from my mind, I have a kind of feeling of wow, because before the visit, I have no idea about industrial heritage. Let me introduce a little bit about our industrial heritage activities in Vietnam. I can say that I think we start our activity quite late, and not until last year we have something about industrial heritage. The context was that the Hanoi authority have a plan to relocate about 100 old factories in the city to the outer city or to other areas. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Is that clear? Can you hear?
Yes, very well.
Okay. So in the map, you can see some yellow dot represent location of old factory in Hanoi City. These 92 factory are on the list of removal from its location. So we start our survey and inventory on this factory from the point of view of industrial heritage. And last year we conduct an inventory to these 92 factories, and we also choose 10 important factories to conduct a very deep architectural and historical survey to collect important information and to promote the concept of industrial heritage in Hanoi. And then we start also expand our inventory to other cities in Vietnam, like in Hải Phòng, Ho Chi Minh City, and Nam Định, and etc. So basically, from last year, we start our initial activity on industrial heritage by filing information and with the inventories. Also, from last year, we start a series of promotion activity by conducting a series of public talks, seminar. We have 3 seminars last year to promote the concept of industrial heritage and also introduce to the public how we can utilize these resources for historical conservation and also for socio-economic and environmental development. Last year, we also conduct 2 training courses on heritage conservation in general, with special focus on the issue of industrial heritage. Also, from October last year, the city of Hanoi organized a design competition for Hanoi creative spaces. Because since 2019, Hanoi became one of the network, one city in the network of creative city by UNESCO. And then the government also want to promote creative activities and try to provide creative infrastructures. And then we have that competition, and converting old factory into creative space is one among the 3 themes of the competition, and it is supposed to be closed by June this year. Together with those activities, we also try to share the concept of industrial heritage on medias and press and TikTok and etc. So just to introduce to all of you that the concept of industrial heritage came to Vietnam quite late, and we started our activity very intensively since last year. Just give you a little bit more information about industrial heritage in Hanoi, because Hanoi is the city of focus at this moment by us. I think we have many good heritage still exist in the city, and based on its historical context, we can classify into 3 groups. One group is originated from the French colonization period. It was developed by the French colonizations, and is still being exist at its original structure. The second group are those also developed by the colonization, but was transformed and rebuilt during the course of time. And the group 3 are those built by the Vietnamese after our official independence since 1954. So among those factories, there are 2 minor milestones of history. One is colonization, and the others is after our independence. And those factories are very diverse and different in form and structures and features. It's very interesting to look at. And for us, I think those old factory and industrial premise bring a lot of information from the past, and also show a lot of architectural and historical value, and also it's a part of our memory and urban images. But it is in the context that our government haven't acknowledged the importance of industrial heritage, and their plan is maybe to redevelop those old sites into something very modern, something very new. And our challenge at this moment is to promote the concept of industrial heritage to the city governments, and try to put those heritage into a protection of our legal basic now. And we also try to promote the new ways of utilizing these old premise for a better use for the public. So those are the current activities me and my college regarding the industrial heritage in Hanoi and in Vietnam. I think we are kind of very latecomer, and I myself very honored, and feel very thankful to be connected to all of you. Those are my initial introduction. Thank you for your listening.
Okay, thank you very much for Long's brief but very insightful view about the industrial heritage development in Vietnam. I think we can see the very strong connection regarding the urban development and conservation of industrial heritage. So I think we can work together. And as you have mentioned about the survey about Hanoi, I think that will be very perfect for the country's profile on our website. So if you don't mind, maybe in the near future, you can develop your talk a little bit and send to us. We'll be very happy to put it on our website. Okay, so now let's move to Yvonne, please. Hello. So we have Ivan Henners from Philippines.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and well, it's morning here where I am at the moment. I am Ivan Henares. I am an assistant professor at the Asian Institute of Tourism of the University of the Philippines. I currently head Tiki Philippines. I'm Secretary General of the ICOMOS International Cultural Tourism Committee and Vice President of ICOMOS Philippines. My advocacy and research interests are in heritage conservation and tourism policy, and cultural tourism and historic urban landscapes, industrial heritage, cultural landscapes, and indigenous communities in the Philippines. My work is currently focused on the province of Pampanga, particularly in the city of San Fernando, as well as the sugar cultural landscape of Negros Island, where I am working with local stakeholders to protect early 20th century sugar centrals, hacienda houses and plantations, and the 19th century sugar mills. So just wanted to share a little bit about the organization. Of course, Tiki Philippines is a very young organization. It was only established a few months ago in November 2020. We had our first Philippine Industrial Heritage Forum early this year in January, and this is the first time that we've actually featured the industrial heritage of the Philippines. We work very closely with ICOMOS Philippines, and I wanted to share with you potential sites for research and development, which we are looking at. And this would include the sugar cultural landscape of Negros Island, where there are a lot of sugar centrals that are still standing. The tobacco plantations of Ilocos and Cagayan, the fruit plantations of Mindanao Island, and the Cassia Hacienda irrigation systems, which are located in various parts of Luzon Island. Of course, there is also the historic Manila Dagupan Railroad and the colonial lighthouses of the Philippine Islands. And finally, the mining complexes of the Philippine Cordillera. So as you can see, there are so many sites that are waiting to be not just discovered, but really there's a need for research in these sites because there has been no research virtually on industrial heritage in the Philippines. In particular, we are trying to do the sugar cultural landscape of Negros Island, where there is a very high concentration of industrial heritage. And part of that would, of course, include sugar centrals like Hawaiian Philippines Company in Silay City, as well as the Maao Sugar Central in Bago City. So I'm looking forward to strengthening cooperation with different scholars and researchers from around Asia. I will be returning to the Philippines late this year, and hopefully I do return, we can identify more researchers who are focused on Asian industrial heritage, especially Philippine industrial heritage. And of course, we will also promote the study of industrial heritage among heritage researchers in the Philippines. Just like the one we scheduled in January, we also hope to schedule regular forums and conferences on Philippine industrial heritage, and of course assist ANI in conferences on Asian industrial heritage. We also would like to invite Asian universities with industrial heritage researchers to join ANI. So I think what we really need to do is look at, we do an inventory of who is doing industrial research in the different countries of Asia. Of course, it would be good if the correspondents can look at research that has been published on industrial heritage and invite these researchers to be part of the network. So at least we can grow this network of industrial heritage in Asia. So that is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Ivan's presentation. I think you bring up the issue regarding to the culture, sugar cultural landscape. I think that's also one of a big issue in Taiwan. And I know that in Indonesia also has quite a few sugar plantations. So I think perhaps we really can do a kind of comparison study between the different countries, and also to work on together with the university's collaboration research. Thank you very much. So
Thank you.
yeah, so now let's move on to our next speaker. Mr. Dr. Kumar, please.
Yeah, very good afternoon. Is my slide visible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, very good afternoon to all the dignitaries. I am Rajendra Kumar. I'm an architect from New Delhi, India. I'm director of the School of Architecture. Going through with the agenda of the presentation today, I have just divided my presentation in 3 slides. The first slide, which I'm going to introduce myself. I'm practicing architect and urban designer, graduated from Chandigarh College and post-graduation from Italy. I have traveled all over the world. I mean, spoken on many issues, especially about cities and heritage and culture. I'm awarded as a young Achiever Award in 2009, and recently I was awarded Global Educational Influencer last year. A number of committees. So coming back on a specific agenda related with ANIH, as you can see, India is a country of, I believe that one of the maximum number of heritage sites. So there are a lot of potential. With the university of my university, we have also signed MOU with the ANIH in 1.5 years back, and we are committed for a lot of collaborative exchanges between India and Taiwan. Talking about the University of Noida International University, we are one of the largest university of North India with the courses, more than 150 courses, and we also have a student from more than 28 countries. So there is a lot of diversity in our campus. Me heading architecture cell, so I'm very much in touch with the local development, be it a contemporary architecture or be it heritage. So when I talk about industrial heritage, I would like to draw your attention on this term called Noida. Though the Noida is the city, but actually Noida is a synonym of the abbreviation.
Hello?
Right now, the university where I'm living right now is actually an industrial city. I'm also practicing architect, developing a lot of skyscraper project and also master planning. These are a snapshot of some of the images of my recent projects. Coming back on our last slide of mine, how we can go ahead about the collaboration. As I had a discussion with Ministry of Culture officials of Taiwan, yesterday also I had a meeting with the embassy in Taiwan embassy in New Delhi, India. So we can also try to develop some joint research project with the Indian Institute and ANIH. So you can refer my comment reference about there is an ongoing discussion which is going on now. So that's the one thing which we can try to work on between Indian organizations and Taiwanese universities on some joint project. We can also try to work up about Indian delegation visit to Taiwan and vice versa, or Taiwan delegation visit to India to visit some heritage site. We can also try to do a B2B or B2C. To explain, B2B means business to business and B2C is a business to consumer seminar and workshop with a specific goal about industrial history of India and Taiwan. And there are a lot of initiatives which I have developed in the past where we can definitely work on together. And then the last point which I would like to put emphasis on, in the last few years, in the last 4 or 5 years, there is a lot of interest from Indian students to go to Taiwan for a joint research program or PhDs, also a specific PhD. For example, one of the PhD which is I mean, there is an interest by a student, and the Taiwan embassy in India also are helping also about the translation of a document related with the Indian Railway in Chinese. In Chinese, I mean, for Taiwan thing also. So the translation of or documenting of a old Indian heritage train. Basically, I'm talking about railway. So there's a lot of interest. So I believe that we should also we can try to do something which is about industrial heritage research project or some sponsored PhDs research. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Kuma. I think what you mentioned, which we visited e-commerce conference maybe 2 years ago, we visited Taiwan representative office. Yes, we do have a lot of cultural exchange program. We also hold some Gandhi exhibition in Taiwan. So perhaps in the future, we can extend this kind of culture event coming to the industrial heritage conservation work. And the second issue, which you mentioned about the researcher and the exchange student. Yes, I think many of the university, we also have Indian students. But so far, I haven't seen someone work on the conservation part. So perhaps these are the work which we can work on. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move to the Miss Mahajer from India also.
Very good afternoon. I am having a slight problem with sharing my slide. I would request you to please wait for a minute. Is my slide visible?
Yes.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Asian Network of Industrial Heritage, for inviting us for this meeting and anniversary celebration. I would like to introduce myself. I am Abantika Mukherjee, a conservation architect from India, West Bengal, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. And my topic of research in my PhD as well is on industrial heritage, where I'm looking at industrial heritage management and grading system in the Indian context. My area of interest in industrial heritage began when I was starting to my master's in architectural conservation from Delhi, as I am born and brought up in an industrial town in West Bengal, which the industrial town which was primarily set up during the British colonial rule, and that and during my masters I have attempted to conduct some researches on industrial heritage value assessment in the Indian context, industrial heritage classification in the Indian context, and I had done my thesis, postgraduate thesis on focusing on the management of jute industrial heritage in my hometown. I'm also running a blog where I talk about industrial heritage and some of the issues that are regarding industrial heritage in my own state. I'm a full member of TICI and as a member of ICOMOS India, where I am part of the National Scientific Committee of Industrial Heritage. Also, I'm a full member of the Association of Critical Heritage Studies. During and after my master's, I have attempted to publish a few articles under the TICI Bulletin. I have also been a guest speaker on a web industrial heritage in a college in Mumbai. And most recently, I have presented a paper on a curated session of Association of Critical Heritage Studies in London, UK, which I had to do from home since of the pandemic. As Mr. Kumar has already given a brief introduction about what is happening in India regarding industrial heritage, I would like to focus that there are, apart from the independent enthusiasts on industrial heritage, there are a lot of institutes, architectural institutes and planning institutes, organizations, both part of the international body and Indian bodies, NGOs, private groups, practitioners, and independent enthusiasts who are interested in conducting research and generating projects of industrial heritage. Out of which I would like to mention that in academic research works, a lot of institutes, architectural and planning institutes in India, all across all states, are conducting researches and publishing postgraduate thesis and PhD thesis on based on industrial heritage. TICI India and National Scientific Committee of Industrial Heritage, as a part of ICOMOS India, they collaborate to host a number of webinars and discussion sessions. Articles have been published in Tiki Bulletin quite regularly from the Indian members. INTAC is an Indian organization who have their Heritage Academy. They run a lot of workshops on industrial heritage where any enthusiast or any research scholar can be part of. INTAC Architectural Heritage Division, they also develop adaptive reuse projects and listing projects on industrial heritage across the country. There are, as I mentioned, independent enthusiasts taking initiatives to safeguard industrial heritage in Mumbai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, and all the other industrial settlements all across the country. There are private groups and NGOs like the Railway Enthusiast Society India. They host online conferences and talk series. And there are architects and heritage practitioners who are engaging in restoration and adaptive reuse projects on industrial heritage. So the problem that we need to address as a way forward is that it is about the independent enthusiasts, because this is a huge number where if we go from state to state or city to city, we see that there are a lot of people who are individually interested. They differ in their professional backgrounds. Many of them are actually past industrial workers, and they lack any institutional support in forms of affiliations or grants that they can use for taking up their enthusiasm and publishing or taking up their issues. And my suggestion for ANIH would be to, first of all, facilitate research grants in order to develop an Asian database of industrial heritage resources. And since there are a lot of academic research works which may be showcased, and that would help us to identify what are the important areas or themes that people are talking about on industrial heritage. We can create a network of funding agencies for each country for heritage practitioners who would like to take up projects on industrial heritage where the grant is missing. And ANIH may also host workshops or internship programs to develop a greater interest in industrial heritage. And that would help us in exchanging this inter-country knowledge and the present trends that are going on in each country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Mohije. I think what you have mentioned is very good that in India, I think you already have a very strong this NGO group, and a lot of organizations are involved with the survey. And I know you already have a one national scale survey regarding the industrial heritage in about 2 years ago. So it seems still developed very well. And I also agree with you about that we should have a more regular meeting in order to provoke the public awareness, such as a workshop and so on together. I think together and close to the international power, I think maybe we can strengthen the influence for from the government side as well. Thank you very much. So now let's move on to Dr. Lee Yoki Lai, please.
Thank you. I will share my slide. Okay, good day to everyone. Thank you for ANIH to invite me and honored to share some of my industrial heritage research. Okay, first of all, I would like to say happy anniversaries to ANIH, 3 years anniversaries. Okay, I'm Liu Lai. I'm currently as a senior lecturer and also a postgraduate coordinator in the Department of the Landscape Architectures of the Faculty of Built Environment, Surveying, and University of Technology Malaysia in Johor, Malaysia. So it's in southern part of Malaysia, yeah. I have been attached with my university about 11 years. So I have my doctorate degree, graduated from the University of Tokyo. Yeah, I have honor also supervised by Kubota and Nishimura Sensei. And I have my master's in urban design and also bachelor degree in landscape architecture, as well as my diploma in architectures. Okay, for my research interests, my area of research comprises on urban studies, cultural landscape, urban conservations, urban history, social history, and landscape design. Okay, come to the part that I would like to share on the interest of my industrial heritage study is about the tin mining industrial heritage. So I did my PhD in Kubota Sensei Lab and also Nishimura Sensei Lab. So my topic is related to tin mining industrial in Taiping, Perak, Malaysia. So I will share a little bit about the finding of my research. So you can look at here, the one of the photos here is the image of open cast mining, circa in 1870. So it's coolie workers, they conducted this open cast tin ore mining. And through the transformations because of the tin industry, where we can find the more tangible or the physical heritage that we can see in the ex-mining town, which is the Taiping itself. Yeah. So physically, we can see that the influence of the British colonial during 18th and 19th centuries, a very strong influence of like colonial planning, yeah, on the British colonial planning, where we can see the great irons lay on these Taiping towns. So beside that, on the physical planning of the tin mining town itself, in this town is also we can find that some of the inherited social infrastructures, such as the old market, which is I think is more or less like 140 years old, and also the remnant of the railway. What we see only a signage left, but the railway line is no more. Yeah. Okay. Through this, my research on the tin mining industrial heritage, what is the most remarkable, the significant property that I can share with you is the lake garden. So what you see like in the first pictures here, photos, before the lake gardens, before the garden converted is a mining field. Yeah, it was built around I think in 1880. So this lake garden is also about 140 years old. Yeah. So the undulating of the landform and also the surrounding landscape. So you can see how the conversions of a mining site, a mining land, have turned into a Taiping lake gardens. So what I would like to share with all the audience is my findings were slightly different from what we have seen some of the cases on the UNESCO World Heritage Site on the industrial heritage, mining industrial heritage, where it is hardly to find some of the physical tangible, yeah. So for me, I will say that the best evidence to show that the characteristic of the tin industrial evolution in Malaysia is the mining, the constitutions or the form of this, how the tin town formed. Because some of the, especially like the railroads, and also some of the industrial, relate to the tin industrial tools, they have dismantled. So we cannot see anymore all these as an important physical evidence for indicate the industrial heritage. So what I would like to suggest is, suggested in here is like to preserving the colonial, post-colonial on the town planning and also the mining landscape is important, yeah, to in the safeguarding of the tin mining industrial heritage itself. All right. So next, I would like to share. Okay, so one sec. I'll back to my slide. Next, I would like to share like what I'm currently doing. At the moment, I just received a task from e-commerce. So I accept the task to become a reviewer of local plan for the Georgetown UNESCO World Heritage Site. We were going to start very soon. My current, some of the previous, my involvement is also involved in organization and also some of the academic activities. So I'm the members of Institute of Landscape Architect Malaysia. I think I'm quite honest. In the early of month, I have shared papers about the SDG 11, integrating in community and park, and also urban farming during a national day. And as I said just now, my current involvement in e-commerce Malaysia, I'm a scientific member for the historical town and village and also the cultural landscape. So what I think like I can say is like we don't have a specific e-commerce scientific member for industrial heritage right now, but I would like to suggest at least we begin to have a mining landscape to integrate or impose in this cultural landscape scientific committee. Besides, I also involved or I joined also a Malaysia Historical Society. I have published a book with my colleague as a topic on exploring the cultural landscape of Johor, which is what I'm currently living right now. So as I said just now, I'm quite active in some of the academic activities. So I have invited as a visiting lecturers for the university in Indonesia, and I have organized some of the student collaborative international workshops, university from Japan, from Thailand, and also from Vietnam. All right. So what I would like to suggest for further collaborations or to increase the visibility and networking of ANIH. So I think we can start with a very simple of a webinar series, sharing sessions, and then we can have like workshops and colloquium or symposium, invite all the expert or researcher or the target participants. I think one of the good thing about the workshop, sometimes we can like be like more visible, yeah, to I mean to showcase to the or show to the publics. Besides, I think engage to the field studies to the industrial heritage site also is important. By now, I think everyone are doing virtuals or conferencing or webinars. Why not we can have a try on the virtual field trip as well. Last but not least, I think collaborative of the potential industrial heritage site revitalization project is very important. I believe some of the speakers have mentioned about have the chance to in collaboration with cross countries. I think that is a good idea. I have the same thought as well. So from the suggestion of these, all these suggestions, like to increase the visibility and networking, all the document, I think is a potential for us to put it in the book, or maybe in an ebook or coffee table publications. And I would like to suggest also a virtual exhibition as a platform to promote ANIH. All right, I think, thank you. That's all from me, my parts.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Lai, and thank you for your concrete suggestion regarding to the further work. I think you already mentioned that. I think mining landscape is an important evidence for the colonial period. I think this could apply to the Vietnam, India, and Malaysia. So this might be a good research cooperation soon. And I think you also mentioned a lot of your academic activities, and I think regarding to the cultural landscape group in the e-commerce, I remember in year 2016 in Dublin, they also has a conference regarding to the cultural landscape, and industrial heritage start to be one of the issue in that. So perhaps we can also have a close relationship for that. Okay, so now we are coming to our Taiwanese representative of Huang Yuyu.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. It's a great joy, it's a great honor to participate this meeting. Yes, I'm Yu Huang from Taiwan. I'm working in the Shuenn-Ren University, Cultural Property Preservation Center. In our center, we're doing some survey and doing some conservation and the preservation project in Taiwan. Now we talk about how about my research field. Please, my slide, please. Okay.
玉老师的 slide.
Okay, in the cover story, we can see the three pictures, and then the left picture is the Shuenn-Ren industrial heritage. It's my favorite. Now in the picture we can see the oil jacket, and the second picture is tea plantation in Taiwan. So this is my second research field. The third research field is the Taiwan Railway workshop in Taipei. As these three topics, next. In these three topics, my research field is really on the one. Next please. Okay, that's okay. In my research field, one is talk about, everything research, it will be besides on the history. So history of tea and the petroleum industry in Taiwan is my important research field. The second is how to conservation and the preservation and regeneration about the industry heritage. The third is before the 20 years ago, when I first time to come to the heritage conservation, not only in the industry, because in the time everyone loved Taiwan traditional temple or settlement or historic site. So also the third, my research field is conservation of and the reservation of the Taiwan traditional building in Taiwan. Also, you can see the picture in my slide. In this image, you can see the yellow line. The yellow line is the Earth, And the blue line is the gasoline. And also in the gasoline line, you can see the petroleum. It means the oil field. So in this image, we can see how people to research the oil from the earth. Why we can say in the image? Because we want to explain or to more easy way to say and to every one generation how about industry heritage. It's not so difficult. It's easy to understand. Okay, next one. So in my research field, we got 4 years ago to do a very big project about the Taiwan petroleum industry heritage. In this history site regeneration project, we got 4 target, and the one target is also to create a library. Why we should need a library? It's not really library, it's a digital library to say or to conservation the memory. What kind of memory? The memory working in the oil field. The memory everyone in the oil fields picture. So such like intangible memory, cultural heritage. Okay. Second is how to manage it about the tangible cultural heritage. And the third is very important, where conservation, the intangible cultural heritage. Finally, also we can how to construction of the history site. Besides the very big project, I have 4 ideas to share. One is how to introduce the industry heritage to youth is very important. In the youth generation, they very hard to understand the industry heritage because the industry heritage is very multiple and very across the field. So in the second, my idea is how to open a dialogue between every generation. And the second one is, of course, multiply, join in. Everyone, maybe you will civil engineer, economic, or every professional research field. And the cross field together and the cooperation is very important. Finally is global connection and the local identification. So about these 4 ideas, I think just like Malaysia Lee shared about the tea plantation or tea industry, that's very good. Maybe we can have a very good cooperation after that. Okay. Finally, I want to congratulate again the happy 3rd birthday to Annie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Yu. I have been working together with her on the petroleum industrial heritage together on the Chuhuangken site. And it is really complex regional development. She really did a great effort on that. And I think that's also showing the potential of industrial heritage. You can use it as a kind of, for the regional development as a force, yeah. So it's really important work. So now, thank you for all our, we have one more international correspondent who is from Korea, Shuenn-Ren Liou. She will show us one pre-recorded video. So now, please.
Hello, everyone.
Congratulations on Asian Network of Industrial Heritage's third anniversary. This is Seorin Kim, who is a PhD student at Seoul National University in South Korea. My major was traditional landscape architecture when I was a bachelor student, and since then, I've become interested in how and why the landscape of historic site has changed. What's the value of the historic site in modern society and how to conserve and utilize it? Especially, I'm interested in the landscape between North and South Korea as a researcher of historic landscape. I wonder about the factors like ideology and social and natural environment that affect to change the landscape of two Koreas. About industrial heritage, first, I'm into using industrial heritage as parks and gardens. There are also cases in Korea that used industrial facilities as parks and gardens. One of them is Seonyu-do Park, designed by Professor Sung Jong-sang, my advisor. I will help Professor Park, who is one of my seniors, to make time series analysis of the case of Korean industrial heritage being park based on data from newspapers and academic papers. Through this, I would ultimately suggest what attitude landscape architects should have when designing and planning industrial sites. Secondly, I would like to analyze and find out how institutional discussions have been conducted in Korea to protect and utilize modern industrial heritage. Industrial heritage is designated and managed by various government institutions, including the Ministry of Cultural Heritage and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. Finally, to strengthen cooperation and connect resources with ANIH, I know that you are using Facebook well, but I would like to suggest using Instagram together to attract young generations. And I think it would be good to upload 360-degree images of various industrial heritages around the world and share them with each other to provide virtual experience, especially in this pandemic situation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much for King's presentation and share with some of the case study in Korea and also give us some suggestion about how to engage the young generation. And I think today, after all the presentation from our international correspondent, I think you can see we are digging a treasure box here. So there are more and more things coming out. So before I come into the conclusion today, I would like to give the floor to Professor Shuenn-Ren Liou, who has been working on the Taiwan's railway heritage and also specialized on creative industry. So let's welcome Shuenn-Ren Liou, and thank you for his patient waiting for us. Thank you.
Happy anniversary for Annie, and also thank you, Professor Lin's host for this session. And after hearing the presentation from all the young colleagues, I'm actually quite impressed by the backgrounds of the speakers, also their enthusiasm on the Asian industrial heritage. And I have maybe two observations to make. First, I think Annie is in its toddler years, meaning it's still very young. It's in its 30-year-old anniversary. So it should be also very adventurous. It can be very courage to do more things like try and errors, to do more experimental works in terms of international collaboration and more networking possibilities. So I think those young colleagues actually all have their own networking, not only from their own countries, but also link to some other institutes abroad. For example, we have the first speaker has the affiliation with Germany. Also, many other colleagues has their affiliation with different countries and also with different field of studies. So I think it has a very wide variety and specialties. So I would like to first propose that in addition to the traditional seminar, workshop, annual conferences, and even for publications, proceedings, maybe we can work on some projects. I think real project would also enhance the real collaborations. I have seen some of the correspondents also have their own personal projects, either funded by their government or some NGO funding resources. So maybe we can consider, I think the platform of ANI can help to make the connection or even provide a little bit funding for this possible potential projects, even small project we can start it from, would also help those young scholars can create their international link with each other. For example, Professor Yu's tea industry maybe also linked to Malaysia or some other countries, or maybe include some more other unseen or unknown scholars through the platform. So this is the one thing I would really hope ANI can help on this regard. And secondly, I think ANI has already, I think, make a very successful first step on making the database. Specifically, we have the newsletter, which I think very successfully gathering lots of information, including some of the topics or conferences or events all over the world, particularly focusing on Asian Pacific region. I would think we can, for the next stage, focusing more on two aspects of database. The first database has to do with knowledge and information, but on this regard, I like to focus on the term cases, because either from the architecture point of view, urban design, urban planning point of view, or from the cultural preservation point of view, we all study through cases. So the good cases actually is a package of knowledge. I think it's very important for ANI to collect good representative cases, which may also help to collect all of the efforts those young scholars has working on. This is the first database I would think we can move on. And second database has to do with people, or more specifically with talents. Actually, these are all young talents. We all start from students, the role of students, the role of assistant, the role of professors or architects, even experts on preservation. So this need to be classified into a number of different categories, so we can easily find our counterparts or our colleagues in terms of domestic database or international database. We can find out this database would be very, very useful, and also help those young project managers who can maybe find some assistance through this talents database. Anyway, I think this is a very good event, and I enjoy a lot. And I hope this is not a stop, the end of the anniversary, but we can renew, or we can continue on a new action plans in the next few years. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Liu's encouragement and a very good observation for us. I think he basically nearly set up the conclusion for me already. So here I just emphasize 2 more points here. So one is regarding to build up this official engagement. I think this is what we need to do further. So no matter through the real project, this is important to have a real work together, or through the international institutional engagement, or from the government, like such as the representative office, a board, and from the universities. I think this will be our target for the next move. Yeah, and for the second thing about regarding for the database, which Professor Liu also mentioned. In fact, I think from today's talk, we hear a lot of references and a lot of projects. I think from ANI's platform, we will continue trace about this kind of information, hope to get it in order to enrich our database system. And the other things I would like to emphasize is, I think today many of our speakers already mentioned about many subjects, which I think we can think about to develop further as a real project. So such as the mining industry, sugar cultural landscape, and industrial cities, and 20th century's industrial heritage, and also regarding to the way of classification, and also the landscape transformation. And I think these are all the possibility for us to work on. So this is important for us to work together, and looking forward for have a next meeting and discussion about the further work. So I think I make conclusion to here, so I give the time to Jenny.
We would like to thank Dr. Lin, Dr. Liu, and Ms. Huang for joining the panel. And our very special thanks go to all our international panelists. We thank you for your participation and contribution to the panel discussion. In celebration of the 3rd anniversary of ANI, we have invited ANI Advisory Committee members to send us their congratulatory words and messages in the form of short videos. Now let's watch these videos. 我们现在请我们现场的工作人员帮我们播放影片。
Dear colleague, I welcome you to attend the International Correspondent Meeting and its anniversary celebration. I'm Hsiao-wei Lin, Chair of the Advisory Committee of ANI. ANI was established for 3 years with the support from Cultural Heritage Bureau of Ministry of Culture and international and domestic colleagues. ANI now has its own website, publications, operational structure, and a fully staffed office. I hereby would like to thank you for your great contribution on the data on our website publications. We hope we can develop our cooperation further with practical research project, and I look forward to see you again in the near future.
Hi, this is Jong Sang-seung from Korea. Congratulations to your 3rd birthday. 3 years before, the ANIH was formed. It was just a small step for one country, but absolutely it was a great and giant leap for all Asian countries, for all Asian industry heritage. I'm very happy to be with you. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Hello Arnie from Paul Marnie in New Zealand. This is a happy 3rd birthday to Arnie. Arnie has provided a wonderful opportunity to bring together in Asia and Pacific specialists to lead the way in the conservation of industrial heritage. This has been a difficult challenge with COVID, and we have done really well in the circumstances. With Arnie, we have been able to maintain channels of communication and expertise. So well done Arnie, and thanks to the many others that have contributed.
各位亚洲产业文化资产资讯平台的伙伴，大家好，我是台湾国立高雄大学副校长曾子峰。亚洲产业文化资产资讯平台长期对于资讯共享、跨国协作及多边合作的付出与贡献，它的成果是有目共睹的。在此祝贺这个平台成立3周年，我们期待呢这个组织未来的发展，以及希望 未来有更紧密的合作伙伴关系。
Hello everyone, I'm very happy to celebrate the 3 years old birthday of Annie together with you. When we look back the past 3 years, we learn and share our knowledge step by step and growing up in a very, very significant platform. And during the past 3 years, many different countries, experts, students, professionals, that we can learn each other step by step to move forward to do the conservation of our industrial cultural heritage. We can understand during the 2020, the pandemic of the COVID-19, they broke down and limited many international cooperation. However, due to the help of the ANIH platform, we still can work up and exchange our knowledges through the ANIH platform. We are looking forward to have more and more good experiences from the ANIH. Happy birthday, ANIH.
We would like to thank all the ANIH committee members for their warm wishes and heartfelt congratulations. And as the curtains fall on today's meeting, we would like to refer back to all our international correspondents who are joining us via video conferencing. Before we end today's discussion, Dr. Lin and our correspondents on site would like to know whether any of the correspondents joining us online would like to add anything or would like to contribute any concluding thoughts. So we would like to ask our technicians to bring up the image of all our correspondents joining us online. Can we do that? 我们来请我们的现场的工作人员将我们的线上的所有的通讯员的画面将我们带出来。那我们接下来的时间就是要邀请我们线上的通讯员来询问所有的各国的代表，在我们今天的活动结束之前，是不是还有任何的意见要补充 ？So now the floor is open. Would anyone like to add anything before we conclude? Please feel free to speak up. Please go ahead. I believe it's Mr. Kumar from India. Please make sure you turn your microphone.
I would just like to suggest one thing, that we are around 10 to 12 people who are the correspondents. We can try to frame a group on maybe a Google group or maybe a WhatsApp group or whatever group we can. So it will be, the communication between among the group member also, and the exchanges of information will be much easier. I mean, much frequent, I would say. That's just my suggestion.
Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Mr. Kumar. Would anyone else like to offer some concluding thoughts or anything you would like to add?
May I say something?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Loan again from Vietnam. I think today is really important and very helpful to me, and I think to maybe everyone who attend this meeting. I think the mission of conserving our industrial heritage is really challenging, especially in a region, in place like Vietnam, when we are undergoing a very fast urbanization, and cities in our country is now at the speed of highly developed. So I think one of the challenges is how to get local government aware of the importance of industrial heritage. So I really agree with Professor Liu's suggestion that we should get authority engagement in our network. So not only experts from academia or students or organization, NGO, NPO, but I think we should also reach out to the local governments of different cities and regions to get them well aware of our activities. And further on, I would suggest that in ANIH website, we might have some corner. We may call that heritage in danger, which is we can list up some cases which is in the danger of demolition, and maybe we can looking for some support from you and some other partner to help to protect some project in danger. So there are many things that we can help each other.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Van Thuy Loan. You mentioned about the importance of engaging the public sector and perhaps creating a separate section on the ANI website, the platform, which will contain a directory of heritage sites in danger. Thank you very much for your feedback, and we would like to know whether anyone else would like to speak.
I will speak.
Please go ahead.
With the commencement of the COVID vaccinations, I think that ANI should look at the possibility of beginning to host annual meetings in various member countries. I believe starting in 2022, most definitely the sugar cultural landscape of Negros Island would be most welcome to host you and host the group for a meeting in Negros. So this is something that maybe we could look into and work on that. Start working on plans for that next year.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ivan. Please do keep us updated on the actual dates and times of events that are coming up. I'm sure that all of us will be very interested in following up on the latest developments of the conservation of the sugar landscape in the Philippines. Would anyone else like to speak? Any international correspondent? While we are working on our questions or comments, I will turn the program perhaps back to Dr. Lin for some concluding remarks.
Okay, so thank you very much for all of you attend today's meeting. It's really a rich meeting, which we get a lot of information. And for today's conclusion, we will put into a writing, then later on send to all of you. At the same time, we will also send you the contact list of, about our today's participants. I think we can start to work on some group cooperations together. And regarding for the chat room for the heritage in danger, I think this is also a good suggestion. We will talk with any platform designer then to see how can we put this into our website. And at the same time, for Tiki, because I'm board member of Tiki also sometimes help with some heritage in danger. So normally the procedure will be the people who send the information and listen some information, then we give to the Tiki board. So go through that. If pass the board meeting, then we will send it to the government or to some e-commerce, some expert. So together you make a group power to get some impact. In this way, we actually successfully save the hydropower station in Norway and so on. So I think this is also one possibility to do that. But as ANI as a regional platform, I think we will also like to do some effort on this one. So I think I just finished the remark to here, and thank you again for your participation, and let's see you again next time.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. I also like to thank Dr. Liu and Ms. Huang and our international correspondents joining us online. But before the curtains fall on today's event, we still have one more thing to do before we call it a day. We will be cutting a cake, a very delicious cake, to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of ANI. So please stay online for just a few more seconds as we bring out the cake. We thank you for joining us today. Now we are bringing out the cake to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of ANI. ANI was officially launched on March 31st, 2018 to promote industrial heritage research, conservation, and international collaboration. And now we would like to invite all the meeting participants on site to stand up and go forward and help us cut the birthday cake. 我们现在有请我们的刘老师、我们的黄老师，还有我们的林老师，还有我们的 Alexa、我们的科长到我们的台前来，以及我们的专委，还 好，我们最重要的专位，我们这一次活动的随身者专位，请您到台前来参与我们的阿尼平台3周年庆生日蛋糕切蛋糕的仪式。好。Now all our VIPs are on the stage and we are about to cut the cake. 那我们现在请老师们先拿起您前方的刀子，为我们摆好动作，也请我们2位到3位老师可以一起切，都没有关系。那我们现在要进行我们的3年庆的切蛋糕仪式，让我们现场的朋友们，还有我们在场的所有的朋友们，跟我们一起倒数3、2、1，亚洲产业文化资产平台3周年生日快乐 ！Happy 3rd anniversary to Ani！ 请长官切蛋糕，谢谢。好，接下来我们请台前的贵宾以及长官为我们拿起手卡，我们也请工作人员能够递上手卡。那同时，我们也请现场的工作人员还有摄影朋友们能够把握机会，为我们多捕捉一些珍贵的画面。好，我们现在请我们台前的贵宾、老师、长官们拿好您的手卡，望向前方的镜头。3、2、1 ，Say cheese！ 那我们现在请长官右手拿着卡，左手帮我们比个3，来庆祝我们的阿尼的平台3周年庆，请您望向前方的镜头。3、2、1 ，Say cheese！ 谢谢台上的所有贵宾。阿尼国际通讯员交流会暨3周年庆庆祝活动圆满的结束了。我们请台前的所有贵宾。我们请台前贵宾跟我们镜头前方能够挥挥手 ，say goodbye， 为我们今日的活动画下完美的句点。We also ask all the international correspondents online to wave at the camera to say goodbye and bid farewell to our audiences online and on site. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to your participation in our future events. So that's it for today. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.